Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Automattic's Dev AI NYC gathering. We're thrilled to have such an incredible group here tonight, and while you're here, I'd be happy to chat with anyone about Automattic's amazing AI team. And there's also a few other folks from Automattic I'd like to point out. We have Chui Copeland here, if you can raise your hand or stand back there. Yeah. And then we have Alex Adoon, who I think is somewhere towards the back. But if you'd like to chat about Automattic or our AI enablement program or just AI in general at Automattic, we'd love to chat. And they're here with other automaticians tonight who would also love to connect, and you'll see them wearing these badges.
Yep.
Tonight, we're excited to bring together two voices at the intersection of creativity and AI. Khyati Trehan is a design lead at Google Creative Lab who develops visual systems and experimental tools while dedicating her personal art practice to tinkering with early stage technology. Kelly Hoffman is the head of design at Automattic, who worked in startups before going to art school at UConn to concentrate in communication design. Tonight, our fireside chat explores the evolving relationship between technology and creativity, from computational art and machine collaboration to the future of authorship, expression, and making. Please join me in welcoming Khyati and Kelly.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you for joining.
Is it a good time to plug? Yeah.
Yes, I'll do the.
Okay.
There may be some live demos today. Yeah.
Let's.
And there's a few seats in the front. If anyone gets tired of standing, I bet you will. Like 6 of you can come and sit in the front if you'd like.
It's actually okay.
Say it again.
Please.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. Fill in. Nice. Hello. Thank you. One more. Perfect. Okay. Full house. All right. Thanks, everyone, for coming on your... What day is it? Wednesday? Wednesday. Spending your Wednesday afternoon. Oh, yeah. This is going to be good. Okay. So thanks for joining. I'm very excited to have this chat. And I know you work at a very cool place, Google Labs, but I want to focus this chat on like your personal work and everything outside of it. So to start, I hope everyone's enjoying this. Love to find us.
All right, some sizzly stuff at the back. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so I think you have this like wonderful habit practice of turning your hobbies into design projects. So things like taking your Kindle highlights and making these cool like animated posters out of like favorite book quotes, to making a tool to decide like what movie to watch, which is like, I don't know, it's like whether you're a designer, a dev, or something in between, I think everyone can relate to that. And it just seems like you really enjoy the art of making, and I think that's cool. I was just wondering if you could, maybe it's like we gotta step back in time, like how'd you become a designer? Like, how did you kind of, maybe like that self-driven nature and like just the curiosity and all of it. Yeah, that.
When I'm asked a similar kind of question, I usually go pretty way back, which is to school. So even before design school. So I went to this school called Mirambika in New Delhi in India, which is where I'm from. And the play bar is really bothering me. One second.
Yeah. Gotta fix that.
It's good.
I'm not gonna. I told you there'd be live demos.
Yeah, there we go. So I went to this school called Mirambika, and they call themselves a free progress school. So that meant that you can progress freely, and what that, and the teachers were meant to help you figure out what you're good at, and not so much to like prescribe, a syllabus, which is how a lot of traditional schools in India, they're quite like regimented. And there's, boards and systems. And so, I think I joined when I was 4 years old, and to not be told what to do by teachers and to just be allowed to do whatever. I think we all the other students we grew up with a really healthy relationship to learning. Like, if you hang out with a 5-year-old for, I don't know, 5 minutes, they're going to ask you 100 questions. Like, kids like to ask why and how. And so it felt like that's what studying felt like. And if the job of the school is to help you figure out what you're good at, then all the things that you could be good at should get equal opportunity. So that meant I was just as serious about theater as I was about math. And nobody made us feel any other way, that I should be, doing math or like my multiplication tables and not memorizing lines from a script. And I think because of this like healthy relationship to learning, for some of us, the downside of that was it didn't help us figure out what we like. It just helped us figure out that we like everything. And it eventually, someone told me about design, and I went to design school, and it felt like design is so much broader than I thought, especially if you're, say, 1 month you're working with a musician and the next month you're designing signage for a hospital. Like, you really have to absorb yourself in the environment, and it felt like I can flex and be a lot of things as a designer. So I think that kind of like trickles into being, I don't know, self-motivated or just doing things for fun outside. But yeah, that's the lower.
That's good. Nice.
Yeah.
You mentioned, I think in a talk you gave, and it's kind of related to what you just said, I think you call it sum of parts. So it's sort of like not very narrowly defining yourself either as a designer or a human. Like, we're all like kids. It's almost like beginner's mind, like where it's like you're completely open. And I'm wondering if you could, I don't know, maybe talk more about what sum of parts means. And I think it's very timely right now, where roles are with AI. Roles are like a designer is a dev. Devs are design. Like, we don't, like, even when we try to narrowly define it, it's now expanding. And yeah, maybe to make it not scary. And it's like, you're like, oh, it's cool. It gives me a sense of freedom.
I think so. You like it before, I would just say multidisciplinary, but I feel like people throw that word around so much, and it can mean so many things. And I don't think I'm good at a lot of things, but I think I have small expertises that feel like they belong in different corners, but they kind of come together in interesting ways. So wait, this is a good point for me to be like, I have an example.
I love it.
You might see speaker notes pop up, but I think this was even before AI. Like, I remember right outside of college, everyone, or maybe there was just like my generation of graduates, where the hot question was, how do I figure out my style? Like, how do I figure out what my niche is? Which I think is relevant for, say, illustrators that need to figure out, what someone should hire them for, especially for like art directors. What do I look out for? But I think this also was a question amongst designers for some reason. And when I was studying design, I was also exploring 3D on the side, or publication, or branding, and all these, I think specifically 3D, because it felt so outside of traditional, like, even the school that I went to, NID, it was modeled after Ulm, which was modeled after Bauhaus. So a very specific education system. So I felt like I still wouldn't say I'm a CGI artist, because those guys are very technical, amazing, insane. But I still did a lot of 3D editorial illustrations for a while. But this was a tool that I felt comfortable in. Mm-hmm. But this is the example. Like, there's this studio called BBDB, and they reached out to a bunch of us, and they're really interested in concrete poetry, and they put out a publication every once in a while. And 12 of us got together. Some of us wrote, some of us designed things, and it was the prompt was, what does freedom mean to you as women? And the funds would go for Women for Freedom, which was an NGO. And I think I just moved to Berlin then from India. And I felt like I was introduced to nightlife, which is like not a thing in India for women at all.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, I can walk back home at 4 a.m. That's wild. And so I started thinking about my relationship to spaces and how it's so simple, but you have 24 hours. You can kind of divide them into 12 and 12. And when it's night, you stay inside. When it's day, you go outside. But that relationship is so much starker for women. Like I couldn't do things at night when my friends were boys could. And now I'm like, yeah, that's been unlocked. And so I was just thinking about this very stark correlation. And it still had to be concrete poetry, but I was thinking spatially, like this is clearly a quadrant in my mind if I had to visualize it. And so this is a screenshot of it should be a video. Was it a video? Yeah. Like it's just text. And it's not like you don't need to be a CGI artist. You just need to be comfortable with 3D tools. I had played with them enough that I just made this orientation thing. And it wasn't an animation, but it helped me create this that's the wrong one. Create this grid. And this is a very this could be made in, Photoshop or Illustrator, but this is just how I was thinking. And so it felt like this skill that felt so far away from, traditional graphic design and publication design fed into something that I was doing. And so I feel like I find a lot of these moments where a practice that feels far away from my mainstream work keeps coming back. It's like, oh, this could, be brought together. I was trying to think of a metaphor for this. I mean, some of parts is already a metaphor, but this, feeding disparate things together. And I think about leftover food.
Nice. Yes.
And how it hadn't occurred to me that some people just throw them out the next day. And you're so passionate about
breakfast or dinner becomes breakfast.
Yeah.
An egg.
Exactly. But some people just eat the same thing, but I feel like I have a very good skill of figuring out, okay, what pots and pans are not in the dishwasher and I can use them. Oh, wow. What's in the fridge that's fresh, what's old, and how can I bring it together to make something better and new that's not the original leftover, but and I wouldn't have come up with it if I was making it from scratch, but it tastes good. That's, I don't know, maybe this metaphor is not working. It's really just, I don't know, skills are the part. I don't know.
This feels also related to another one of your concepts.
Yeah.
So you're talking about you have all these ingredients, you have the constraints.
Yeah.
We can
help me out
imagine a project at work or like this.
Yeah.
And it's instead of, say you're a designer or anyone and you're like, oh, I guess I'll use AI now. How? And you have this blank screen and it's instead, it's no, you actually have all these different things.
Yeah.
And I think when you started vibe coding, I believe you took something you already made. So you were able to okay, here's I made this with my traditional tools.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now I can kind of go back and forth or do that.
Yeah.
On effect. I don't know, maybe.
Exactly.
More about that.
Which brings me to
This is working.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I wasn't sure if this would work. Young Guns is this portfolio competition. It's by ADC and the One Club for Creativity. And every year they invite previous winner to design the identity. So last year I got this very nice email. But before this, I was doing, oh my God. No. Yeah. I was just having fun. Have fun. Yeah. I was just having fun. And it's with a new tool, it's easier to play around. But I think a lot of other friends of mine who weren't playing with it were okay, sure, this looks cool. So what?
Yeah.
Like, is this useful? And so I was like, yeah, maybe it's not. Maybe I need to try and find a way to make it useful. And so just around the time that I was, making some stuff and thinking about it, this email came in, and it felt like, okay, this is a project for a client. There is some constraint, not so constrained that like, I'm saving lives and stuff. It's a cultural project. I can be I can take a few risks here. And so the project became about like, how do you encapsulate young guns? And I started thinking about this specific image came to mind, and how the first thing that I did was I looked up all the previous winners
Nice.
and what they won with and what they're doing now.
Cool.
And the stuff that they won with kind of looked pretty bad compared to what they were doing now, which
And they won a huge, like, winning Young Guns is cool.
it's really cool. And then you won it and the work looked great then, but now what you're doing is so much cooler.
Nice.
And I felt like that was such a good demonstration of a promise. Like, you basically proved that you didn't plateau when you won. Like, you got better, and Young Guns found you at the right time and identified this potential. So I came across this image and I was like, okay, this is what it is. It's this like restlessness that's common between all of us, that we keep experimenting. We don't stay still. This forward momentum, how do I capture it? And then it was just, this is a very, I was just thinking about wheels, how to make it super simple. I knew I had to come up with all these lockups and stuff. But while I was like just thinking about forward motion, I came back to this Bauhaus exercise. It's actually really fun. Like, I feel like people should still do it and, call their friends over. Yeah. But you get these strips of animation. So you have to keep twisting it out. You get these strips of animation, and then it's just a piece of paper, and you cut out these squares, and you have a glue stick, and you pick which ones fit where to make a composition. And so I was like, okay, maybe instead of making a composition, I just animate each piece, which is what this looks like. And then I was like, okay, instead of a composition, which is static, maybe I just change the starting points of each of these. And so this felt like, okay, this is kind of capturing, it's moving forward, it's not staying still. It feels like it's getting to the feeling that I want. And at the same time, I was workshopping, like, okay, what do I want to say? What like captures this in the simplest possible way, that, Young Guns 23, that they're going places. That's the promise of the award. And I was like, yeah, this bulky thing is cool. And I know I want to say this piece of text. And I think it's just, the fact that I was working on these two things at the same time, and vibe coding and looking for an opportunity to maybe use it. I was like, maybe I make a tool using Gemini. This should move. No, it doesn't. It looks like this. But what you can do is you can upload a black and white animation. You can type any text, and it kind of paints, like, it's basically an ASCII animation, but I just have a lot more control over what the shapes are and what's being said. And then you have, this piece of text that keeps changing. And initially, maybe I just play it. Yeah, initially I'd set out to be, this is my one chance to try it out in a client project and see if it really works, and it worked. But then I kind of forgot about it, used it in applications. It was cool, there was a ceremony they needed, just did traditional After Effects stuff, what they needed for socials. But then people won, and there was a ceremony. Sorry, the story is going on for very long. It's not. People won, and I was like, people should feel special about going on stage, like even in the subtlest way. So how do I change this messaging? Oh wait, I built a tool, and all I need to do is select text, type something else in it.
Nice.
And so I could make these. Chantal is going places. Christopher Clark is going places. Like, it's a very tiny detail, but I think a bunch of them came to me and they were like, "Whoa, wasn't that so much work for you to manually go in and change?" And then I showed them the yeah. But I wasn't planning on it. It was just like, oh, I have this tool that was like a gift that could keep on giving. And then this is the last example of it. Like, what also happens is the year that I won, I remember winning, but I also remember the other people that won with me. And it was really cool to be like, oh, it felt like this shared experience. And when you win this award, you also get like a physical cube, and it has to be a 3x3 inch cube. And so I was like, okay, maybe the cube, the award can be a reminder that you won, but all these other folks that maybe will be your friends, your future collaborators also won. So went back to the tool. Instead of young guns, just put all the names. So the fragments or the full names show up in the physical cube. And this was wild. Like, I think this is a good example of a sum of parts. Like, the top is what I would originally give, a bunch of folders with traditional assets. The bottom is like, I got to give people an HTML file so that they can continue this design system. It's wild. But
Nice.
did I answer the question?
That was it. No, that was very good combo of not starting fresh and empty screen, and how experimenting and iterating and being open and curious and building, designing in your free time inspires work. And my next another topic we should talk about is sharing.
Yeah.
And because you share a lot of your work. That's how I knew you were making all of it. Either giving talks, social, on your website, but not only it's like you're sharing the work, but then while you're making the work, you seem to have made these tools to make the work, and you're also wanting to share the tool and be like, hey, let's see what other people are making. So not only are you seeing what the AI tools are making, but then you're like giving it to other people. I don't know, just talking about that and maybe how it like spurs iteration, because that was like a cool iterative process with yourself. But then I've seen like when you share tools out, people are making cool stuff, and maybe how that loops around.
Yeah, I started sharing a lot of my work, mostly because I was doing a lot of work. Like, I think the work would exist with or without, a thing to share on. So there's definitely a huge culture of like content creation, and I don't identify with that though. Like, it's really just that at some point I was doing 5 projects at the same time, which was stressful and unhealthy, and I don't do that as much anymore. And I maybe take out my personal time to experiment and share those things. But yeah, I've just always produced a lot. And I think the sharing thing just comes from having been a freelancer or like an independent designer for a while before joining Google. And at some point you realize, it feels like, you spend time on your portfolio. But I like to say that the portfolio feels like a little shop in the desert. Some people might drive by it somehow, or someone else mentions it to you. And social media feels a bit like a mall. Like, it feels kind of icky, but that's where people are.
True.
And so
the mall still exists.
And I just like, the first Adobe project I got was a DM. That's just, I just started sharing because that's how you got projects. It was really a functional thing. Jump cut to now, where I do a lot of personal experiments. I still feel like it's kind of like how you get excited about something, you want to tell somebody that this cool thing happened, or I made this thing. So I still share for fun. And now that I'm trying out vibe coding, you mentioned the posters, like I feel like I was missing, like, once you go up, you go above you go through your career, and you start managing people, you manage teams. I'm sure you know enough about it. I think I was just like missing design. Like, I was like, I haven't chosen a typeface for a very long time. I haven't set anything. I haven't played around in a while. And so I think I was just like aching to make something. And I have a Kindle, you highlight stuff, but it feels really like you highlighted something and it's gone forever.
Oh, yeah, I never see it.
And so I just wanted it like to make something tangible that I can hold. So I was like, okay, I want to make something, and I read books and they're nice quotes and I want to highlight. So maybe I just make posters of quotes from books I love.
Yeah.
And they're just, simple graphic design, but every once in a while I feel like those posters generally just like try and reflect what the text is saying, and sometimes animation is enough, but every once in a while I feel like, oh, if it was interactive, it would convey the meaning a little better. Or if your mouse movement said something, or if I created an animation that I'm not being able to get to with traditional tools, maybe I can try vibe coding. And because I'm spending so much time making the tool, like both of these actually,
Oh, yeah.
they're both like, they use a tool and then I just screen record it. But I think about how much time and effort I spent, and I kind of spend equal time making the final thing and making the tool that made the final thing. So it feels like I put all this work into it and it felt exciting. I want to share the tool that I made as well. And with the tools that I use, I tend to use like Gemini Canvas. I use Claude as well. Like there's no, I don't have to stick to Google. And with most of these tools, there's also a share, like a link that people can try it at. And a video only does so much. So I share that out. And this doesn't happen often, but there was this one example of someone taking a tool that I made, and I only made it for that one poster. I might not come back to it like I came back to the tool that I made for Young Guns. Even the Young Guns ones, I meant to make it only for that one thing. And then I was like, oh, I remember I made this thing. Maybe I can use it again. Sure. But for most of these, it's kind of, that's another like side effect of a lot of this. Like a lot of these tools can feel a little single use.
Okay.
And almost wasteful, Like even though it's somewhere in the ether and it's all code, but it's still something that I made only once and I never come back to it. And it feels like the role of a tool is to be used again and again. So I saw someone take the tool, but then you can also, exactly. So with this, I use Gemini Canvas for, but in AI Studio, so you can remix. So they just added a few more things and added a lot more complexity and made it more useful for them. And when I saw it, I was like, whoa, that's cool, but I feel strange, but that's cool. And I felt strange because as a designer, if a client asks you for working files, you're like never working with this person again. They're going to use my working files and I don't know what they'll do with it. Like your C4D files or your PSD files are kind of like sacred.
Yeah.
And so I just shared this thing and they'd taken my PSD file or C4D file and made it cooler. But I felt really good. I was like, why am I feeling good about this thing that I would usually feel a little more cagey about? And I think it has to do with, like, I'm not a developer at all, but my friends that are creative technologists and developer, they're like, yeah, that's how we learn. There's a huge like open source, public domain, that kind of culture in developers. That's how things move as fast as they do. And so it felt good to share. Yeah. So I've just been doing it more, hoping that someone will, make it better and make it more useful for them.
We need a mall for tools.
Yeah.
Yes. Hey. Yeah. I think, is it because in design, when you shared like your Photoshop files, they always made it, I did that once, and then I was like, oh, they made it worse, and they shipped this thing that was, and then it had your name on it, and you're like, that wasn't my thing.
Yeah. That. You're like, I don't claim this.
Yeah, like that wasn't me. But this, like, if you share the tool and they make something, then it becomes like, it's like their thing, but inspired by maybe it's less of a
I didn't even feel like you better credit me or anything. Like it felt really nice to see something move further away outside of my orbit and like live a little longer. So it was a nice feeling eventually. Yeah.
Nice. That's cool. I wanted to, well, I have a few different ways we could go here. Oh, I wanted to chat about your other personal project around, like, was it your movie tool? Like, haven't you made that into different, like, and maybe talk about how when you have this idea and to be like, and you start over here, maybe in the more controlled environment, we have like our Figmas or whatever, and then you go into, Canvas or wherever, and it's like, oh, and it doesn't really quite come out like you want, but how that can sometimes inform where it goes, and like maybe being okay with that. And
I feel like once I started making these fun tools and posters, and I think that still felt like in my world of what I make. But then I started playing around with AI Studio, which is Google's platform, and it's a way to make sure that you have access to the ecosystem of APIs and models. And I feel like it changed my brain a little bit, or the kind of things I make, because it actually started with story arc. Maybe I can share it. Let's see. So this was the thing. I was reading, again, I was looking for quotes from books to make posters about, and I was reading Ted Chiang's like Exhalation. And there was this, I forget what the story was now, but it was like a 1-page story.
yes,
And I was like, it was so fascinating. And I was like, I wish I could see what's going on in his brain. Like, how does he think before writing? Like, what does that napkin sketch look like? And I looked up a bunch of interviews and I couldn't find anything. And then I was like, wait, now that I'm vibe coding enough, I feel brave enough and delusional enough to feel like maybe if it doesn't exist, maybe I can just make the napkin sketch, or like post-rationalize, or like infer what that napkin sketch might have felt like. And we've all studied about the traditional story arc. It's definitely more of a Western story arc. Like there's many different kinds, but the one that I know about is like the 5-part one. Yes. So I went to AI Studio and I described a bunch of, I said, make an app that, let me see, what did I say? Make an app that lets me dissect a story into 5 buckets. And so what it does is there's some pre-existing things, but I could, let's say, 3 little pigs.
nice.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
And so it will basically force 3 little pigs into these 5 buckets.
Okay.
And post-rationalize, when did things get ruined? What was the breaking point? How did...
When it got ruined?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It's not always accurate. Like, it does hallucinate, but if you increase the word count, it's a little better. And this is all like, I'm a designer, I'm not a developer, and I got to make this in AI Studio.
Cool.
And just started playing around with it. You can also like make a draft of something. So say Kelly and Khyati besties.
Nice.
Okay, just manifesting.
Where this breaks. Okay, let's see.
Okay, Kelly, a solitary artist, spent her days lost in a vibrant.
This is very funny. A fierce storm rage.
Yeah,
That's fun.
and I can also like take an existing story, or I try to say Harry Potter because everybody's kind of seen a version of it, so there are no spoilers here, at least the first one. So what it'll do is like, because it's Gemini, it understands, I don't know, it has the world's knowledge in it. Yeah. And so I can say, okay, what if, I don't know,
Harry.
what if I change one part and I say Harry, let's delete this, Harry becomes a dancer.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was coming. Okay.
Like that was the breaking point.
That's kind of okay. Yeah, breathtaking performances. It's good.
So everything is the same up till this point.
Yeah.
But you see how like it was more of a workshopping tool.
Yes.
And that's what I was like, okay, if I want to write, I want to write. But this is a fun like way to think about stories or learn from existing stories and kind of like remix them in the same way that I'm remixing apps and, play around with that. The other one that you were mentioning, 2x2,
Yes.
it's this one. So this was like, a bunch of us are watching a movie, like we're deciding which movie to watch. And I worked at IDEO forever ago, and everybody loves 2x2s and research. So I was like, okay, if you want to make an informed decision, let's just make a 2x2 and use Gemini. Usually what I do is, I don't have that here. Maybe I should have added that slide. But when I go to AI Studio, I just know I have an idea and I just need it to work. And once...
That's what you say. I just need this.
Yeah, I just need it to work.
Yeah.
Usually it looks really ugly.
And it doesn't. Yeah.
But that's fine. Like I treat it as like a wireframe of sorts. And then I'll go to Figma. Like I know that, okay, these are the components. I can move them around, choose my colors, all that stuff. And there I've made my design. And then I kind of prompt that design manually. Like I know there's, Figma MCPs. There's ways to do that much, faster now. But I would manually prompt it. And then I play around with the tool that I just made. And I think when I was playing around with this, you asked about like iteration.
Yes.
Okay, let's try something.
Okay.
Someone give me something. Like a 2x2 on anything.
tools.
Oh, God.
That's all right.
It's a bunch of devs are here tonight.
Okay.
I'll take that.
Yeah, Jenny, I mean...
Listen,
And... Oh, no, sorry. No, not right now. No,
Not right now.
no. Okay, let's start. You can also change the tensions.
Okay.
So give me one side of the tension. Don't mention the opposite.
log.
Slop.
Slop on one side. What's the opposite of slop gonna be?
So when I was
Delicacy. Okay. That's a very food forward.
yeah, but
That's interesting.
it's a tiny detail, but when I was making it, I was trying it out. I was trying it with food, and I was writing healthy on one side, and then I went and started typing unhealthy, and I was like, wait a second, I've made this super intelligent canvas.
Yeah.
It's figuring out what's in the middle of these quadrants. It should be able to figure out an opposite of slop is delicacy.
Which is funny.
And so I didn't think of that in Figma.
Right.
I think I realized that only when I saw the design in action and when I was using it. And in that moment, I was like, oh, I am not only a designer, I'm also a designer and a user. And in a traditional, setting, I would design, like work with a UX person,
Yes.
design the layout, pass it on, it gets developed, it goes out into the world, we get feedback, we go back and change it. So it's a pretty long loop. But here I arrived at something that I might not have arrived at, staring at a Figma, even a prototype. Yeah. And so it was iterative because it's the nature of the thing that I'm making is completely new. Okay, slop, we need another
Cost.
cost. Oh, benefit.
Cost benefits.
Yeah,
Very
I don't think slop and delicacy I'm not feeling it.
What else?
How about you?
You are.
So,
Slop might not be
Holiday is interesting.
the quality. Yeah, that's a better. So I can be like, I can over.
Poor quality. That's right. You said super intelligent, right? It's like it's about poor quality.
Okay, here. Like I can
Nice,
decide.
nice.
It's.
Oh, you can
right.
overwrite, right? Okay.
So okay, what's costly but sloppy? Oh no, better work. Yeah. Oh, it really painted a scene.
Okay.
It's not picking out an exact tool.
put design in there for tools.
It is.
Yeah.
It's not wrong.
Yeah, but there are many types of different GNA too, like design tool,
Okay. Let's see.
or
That's true. Okay, quality. So I click anywhere And then it's gonna see what's in the middle of quality and benefit.
Mid-journey, sure.
Okay, cool.
Higher quality.
It's just much easier with like food and movies. This is a very specialized. But anyway, this was meant for a thing. This is another example of like it's a tool that I built for myself, and then I put it out in the world, and people were like, "Oh, strategy, workshops. This is helpful, or this right now." And again, this is another example of when I was playing around with it. I was like, okay, what if I have a design tool in mind and I want to find out where would Gemini place it? Oh. So now I can add one.
You can do your
again, not a Figma decision. It was a AI Studio decision. Somebody?
Design tool, Adobe Photoshop.
Okay. Now, Gen AI, I guess Photoshop has Gen AI in it.
Sure.
Oh, quality and Adobe is like the subscription fees are
alone.
it's somewhere in the middle of cost and benefit. I don't know. Maybe I need to see, like, we're trying this out, and maybe I need a why.
Yeah.
Tell me why you put Photoshop on. See, I wouldn't have realized it if we hadn't done this.
But we're iterating why.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
demo.
Yeah,
the demo
that's what's happening.
I love it.
Back to the... It keeps playing from the beginning. My bad. This isn't real. You've just seen the first minute of it.
Okay. I have time to ask you one last question.
Okay.
This has been great. We could probably talk for another couple hours, but yeah, maybe just a little softball. What's inspiring you today, this week? I don't know, maybe what are you reading? Any good?
I'm reading this book called Me Talk Pretty One Day.
I read that. It's very good.
It's so funny.
It's so funny.
It's also kind of breaking my brain a little bit because there's no story really. Like, I don't think there's a moment where something happens. Like, it's not following a story.
It's very life, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like I'm reading someone's diary and they're so funny that I want to keep reading it. So I was like, okay, maybe we don't need this, whole tool, and you can write a story that doesn't fit an arc.
You could probably come up with a new tool after that story. Short collection of stories.
Yeah. But I'm just, like everybody else right now, I'm just trying to do things with my hands,
Nice.
Lots of empty canvases, lots of fresh paint.
Love it.
So embroidered this shoe.
Oh, cool. Very nice.
It still has like the blue pen mark on it.
Oh, yeah.
Washable though. It's washable.
Okay. Very nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Well,
Awesome.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
I'm so
everyone.
scared.
We have some time for questions. We have time for questions. Raise your hand and testing. Oh, there we go.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm back here.
hey, great presentation or fireside chat.
Yeah.
My name is Dave. I'm a professor at NYU Tisch. I want to ask about the creative process because I noticed that, it's very iterative and it reminds me more of like design school than say maybe like a traditional computer science approach. And then maybe how you apply that in your job today in the Google Creative Lab and sort of like mentoring or developing, creative designers, design engineers. You could talk to that a little.
Yeah. Usually I can't say a lot about the work at the Google Creative Lab. Yeah.
Right. No more questions.
Yeah, but I can answer your question. I think all of us realize that the shape of what we do on our process hasn't changed much. Like, I'm still thinking about the meaning of things or like picking the right typeface when I'm making these posters, even if I'm vibe coding a thing that helps me make something slightly new. So I think the shape of the work and how we work and the skill sets we need is kind of the same. Your question was about how we're using it at Google Creative Lab, correct?
Yeah, like how you're mentoring more or less. This is on you.
Yeah.
Say free like Bauhaus exercises, and maybe like you're transferring that out from traditional creative process to landscape.
I think what we make sure is, let's see if I can say it. Yeah, I think I can say it. I can say it. It's recorded, right?
That's right.
I can say it. Like, I think everybody in the like everybody who joins the team, you have an expertise. Like you're very good. Like everybody who's a graphic designer, who even if they're playing around, they're first very good graphic designers, or they're first very good motion designers. Like because all of us are kind of becoming middles or generalists, does not mean that expertise or craft is lost at all. And when people are coming in new and this is all fresh for them, the best that we can do is let people play. Because I think this is more of, what I'm hearing from my friends. Like there's the head of some team who's never worked with you will one day show up and be like, use AI. And you're like, I don't need it. And I think the best way to respond is, firstly, I think that kind of like top-down mandate is never helpful. And second, let people, I think it's always helpful to give people the tools and let them play with it and figure out where they need it at all. And so mentorship-wise, I'm just usually like, a lot of these tools are self-explanatory. Every once in a while, I, will sit down with a friend and do a project in front of them. I think like doing workshop-y things rather than doing tutorials is always helpful, where I, sit down and make something in front. Like I would do that now if we had like 2 hours or, I don't know if that answered your question. Yeah. I don't know if I'm mentoring anybody really, but I'm just hanging out.
Yeah.
So social media.
People, leading by example. I think, that's like a way to mentor, I think.
We've got one over here, please.
Oh, Grace.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Namit and I'm a student from NYU as well. So when you started your journey, there were no AI tools. You have to focus on your designing sense and imagination. But now you have to start it from scratch. How you will use these AI tools and make your own design sense and make a good UI or this like motion designs.
I don't think sorry, you didn't complete. Wait, did you have more? Yeah.
No.
Okay. I don't think that's true at all. Like, I'm still a designer. Like everything that I learned is helpful. If this is just like an add-on that I use once in a while, I don't have to use AI tools. I only use them when I feel like they could benefit the thing that I'm doing. And this might be one of those like hot take kind of thing and maybe shady, but you can tell when a filmmaker made a film with AI and an AI filmmaker made an AI film, because you like that there's nuance and there's expertise, but that expertise shows. Like when a designer and an art director who's been doing this way before AI came into the picture makes something with, I don't know, Midjourney or whatever, there's just a difference in quality. And even right now, I never go straight to tools. I sit and think about it. I talk to my husband about it. I like sketch and write. And I don't think that's ever going to stop becoming important. Like I think back at our education, I knew that I wasn't going to be a painter or an illustrator. And even in my graphic design classes, we had to get up at 7 a.m. and go to the market and sketch whatever we saw. And it was more an exercise in learning how to see, because when you have to replicate what's in front of you, you have to look at every point. And it teaches you how to see, oh, this pole in front of me looks white, but it's actually light blue. It's just relative. And it like, even like I went to a type foundry and I was an intern there, and so much of the work could be done on the laptop, but we still printed it out, and there was a way of seeing that developed over time. So yeah, if anything, like, I know that's not your question, but recent graduates shouldn't stop learning their foundation, because people can tell,
So basically, AI lacks heart and emotion.
Like it's just it can be a tool. It can be an agent. It can be a tool. It does a lot more than a tool. Like Photoshop doesn't give you ideas, but
It's that human touch, right? Which makes the most distinction.
I think
If you know what you're trying to find with AI, Google search and AI and other tools can find you better examples to spark your creativity. You have to know things like human interface.
yeah.
That's why people came out with things like material design as templates to show you best practices. And then from there, it sparks your ultimate constraint.
Yeah, I can give you another example. I've watched an AI film and cried, and the person who made it was a filmmaker that has been making people cry long before AI was a thing. Like they knew what sound can do to you. They knew what performance meant. They knew when AI is helpful, what parts of the film are helpful there, and what parts require real actors. So I felt something. There was emotion there. Yeah, but
Any mentorship or startup founders or dedicated creators?
I don't know, man. I'm just learning. I don't know anything. Yes.
Hello, my name is Pranjal and I'm a visual designer too. I've recently graduated. And I would like to ask you, if you had to give a compliment to your work, what that would be? And
That would be
Would you
so
give it?
cringe. I would never do that. That would be so cringe.
okay, then let me ask you this. What is your process to reach the outcome that you want to reach? Do you have a set process to reach there, or do you go with the flow?
It really depends on the kind of project. Like if it's a personal project, I'm just figuring stuff out. But if it's a project that's high stakes, there's research involved. There's all the things that people do. There's user research, iteration. You work with a bunch of a team. Yeah, it's all the same. There's nothing I'll say about process that'll be very different from what people do.
So I remember as a kid legally downloading Photoshop off of Pirate Bay and torrenting it. So I'm curious, with AI giving so much access to open source and you're developing your own tools, do you think there's going to be a point where designers are just not even paying and you're just developing tools in-house and we're not even using Figma or Illustrator and we're just making our own?
Isn't that why the stocks of Figma went right? I mean, I'm not I don't know how things will evolve. There's conversations about the cost of AI and now, how things are free right now, but they're also quite expensive, like tokens and all of that stuff. And it's maybe temporary. And maybe I won't be able to, put out stuff for free in the future because it's not.
For the competition call, the young girls, right? Was it a one-shot prompt or you spent a few?
Nothing's ever one shot. And if it is, I don't stop there because because it doesn't feel like mine anymore. You need some creative friction or some effort to make it feel like yours. So yeah, it always spends.
It's like in Photoshop and other ecosystems. They start with products, then they got the platforms, which are Figma, Adobe, whatever. Now they're ecosystems, people are getting prompts and templates. That's why both these show.
To get everybody get a chance to speak, please, if that's okay. I think we have a question over there first.
Hi, Khyati. Thank you so much for your work. It was amazing. I'm another NYU folk. I'm pursuing integrated design and media at NYU. In the last semester, we kind of read a bit about LeWitt and how he speaks about rule-based artworks and looking at your computational artworks. I really want to know, do you ever set rules to your work? Like you just said that no artwork is ever one-shot. Do you think there are ever rules to whatever you're doing? You couldn't just make it all abstract. How do you approach that? Like, do you ever come up with a thing like this should happen first and then this and like a flow and then go about? And what do you even think about LeWitt's rule-based artworks and how do you follow with your process yourself? Thanks.
Do you want to help me out?
It almost sounds like when you're, say you're vibe coding, and you're going back and forth, traditional tool, then you're in AI and you go back and forth, prompt, are you always like handcrafting, or maybe do you have like do you upload skills, or you're like, oh, make sure this, or maybe bring in some of the foundational things you've learned and make sure, like, you know, get rid of all the M dashes or whatever, you know, only use them every like 17 paragraphs. Maybe things like that. I don't know. That's kind of what that question reminded me. I don't know if that was in the spirit. Probably
Kind
not.
of. I don't know. So there's so many different types of projects. They all have their own rules. So, if it's a Google project, it's a completely, different world. If it's a personal project, sometimes it's very easy to go on and on. And so it's helpful to time box it. So that's, I guess, one rule. Like, I know that I want to get somewhere by tomorrow, 9 a.m. I think the other thing is that it should still have a bar of quality that I think is right, and do whatever it takes to get there. And like I mentioned, nothing's ever one shot, because good things take time. So sometimes, actually, there is one rule that has kind of just like evolved on its own, and this is not specific to AI, and it's just personal to me, is when I do a project and in the beginning I can't come up with something, I just stay on it. But if at the end I can't finish it, I sleep on it. And it has more to do with, in the beginning, there's so many different choices and it's helpful to keep exploring. But at the end, usually it's a minute decision, and I've just been in it for so long that I can't see, so I need space from it. So then I sleep on it. I guess that's a rule.
Nice.
Yeah.
What about sharing? Do you got any rule around that? Like when to show it to someone? Or just,
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes if it feels wrong, like I remember I made a comic book thing also with AI Studio, and it gave me good results, but I didn't feel good about it because I don't know. I firstly felt like it's not replacing comic book artists, because it would never match in quality. But I don't know, it's like an internal values thing that didn't feel right. So then I won't.
Trust your gut. I mean, that doesn't go away with AI. That's for sure.
I think we have time for one more question before closing remarks over here.
Hi, my name is Carl St. Lucie. I'm a film composer and software engineer. You were talking about building tools and feeling a little guilty, or, feeling like you have a mandate to make tools that are used over and over again. And it sounded like maybe there's a story there. I'm wondering if there's any project that haunts you, as far as, you wish that this could have been a tool that someone else used, or maybe it was something where you, at the end of it, felt like it was particularly wasteful.
That's a good question. I haven't, honestly, all the poster related stuff feels very, it was quick to make and quick to forget about. But the stuff that I can forgive myself for a little more easily, but the stuff that I poured a lot of time and attention into making, actually story arc, I don't come back to it till I'm talking about it. I actually made it as a workshopping tool thing so that I can write more. I have this one fiction idea that I'll tell you in person after this. And I think it's a cool story. I dreamt about it. But I didn't spend time on it. The tool didn't help me get where it didn't inculcate the habit that I hoped that it would. The others I still use more often. But yeah, story arc, I think it would be nice if it was useful to somebody, or if it was useful in an unexpected way. It was useful once where somebody used it on LinkedIn to announce their sabbatical. They made a fake story about why they're going on a sabbatical because that's personal. That was cool, but I think maybe that's why I feel more an ache for more people to use it in interesting, fun ways, because I saw it once. Yeah, such a good question. Thanks.
Nice. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. I do have a couple things to say. I've been instructed to say this. So we have these about once every month, but we're going to take a little summer break. And so our next event will be in September. And this is an Automattic event, and we do contribute to WordPress. And once a year, we have these WordCamps, and they're all around the country, WordCamp US. And the next one is happening next month. It is Phoenix in August, so it will be a bit hot, but I'm told the AC is like super cold. And so, yeah, if anyone who's interested in coming, usually the tickets are $100. You can all go for free. I'm like, look under your metaphorical chairs. There's a free ticket under there for you. And we'd love to see you. I'll be there. And then please enjoy food, drinks, alcoholic and non-alcoholic, right? And hang out. You can come up to either of us. Yes? Okay. And thanks. Thanks, everyone.